News when you want it with Bloomberg NewsNow. I'm Amy Morris. And there's your closing bell for this Tuesday on Wall Street, where chip stocks tumbled on worries that the rally has run too far. We bring you the closing numbers each day here at Bloomberg. The S&P 500 lost 34 points. NASDAQ down 302 points. The Dow down 131 points. The 10-year Treasury yield at 4.54% and the 2-year yield at 4.18%. SpaceX also trading on the NASDAQ 100 today. SpaceX shares dropped more than 6.8%. Turning to our top story at this hour, construction crews have been pulled from a 37-story Midtown Manhattan building after reports of bricks falling from the first floor. Now, responders say there was no evidence of the bricks falling, but they do emphasize that this building is unstable. New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani.
The building remains unstable. Since arriving on scene, we have witnessed additional movement in one of the compromised columns. First responders and structural engineers are working closely with the project engineer to develop plans to shore up the impacted floor. If the floor is deemed to be secure, engineers will enter and begin shoring up the building.
Officials say other buildings and a school have been evacuated while the site is secured. FDNY Chief John Esposito says the situation remains serious and that the building has continued to move even since responders arrived.
The way this building is constructed, it's a steel frame building, so it would not be a total collapse. It would be more of a localized collapse, but that remains our concern, that it's moving.
The building is the former Pfizer headquarters. It's being converted into residential units. Turning now to the Middle East, the Treasury Department has revoked a general license that allows for the production, delivery, and sale of crude oil, petrochemical products, and petroleum products of Iranian origin. Treasury says that revocation is effective today as the wind down begins through July 17th. Hormuz has seen its biggest day of attacks since the U.S.-Iran peace deal. The British military says at least 2 tankers have been struck by projectiles. Bloomberg's Anne-Marie Hordern.
Given the fact that we just had this cutter vessel hit earlier this morning in the Strait of Hormuz, is going to be whether or not Europe has the ability physically with hardware or the political will to support the United States when it comes to the conflict in Iran and truly opening up the Strait of Hormuz.
Bloomberg's Anne-Marie Hordern traveling with the president at the NATO summit, and oil prices are higher. WTI crude now more than $72 a barrel. Brent crude more than $75 a barrel. Both WTI and Brent are more than 5% higher. Turning now to the NATO summit in Turkey, NATO allies have agreed to at least $50 billion in defense industry deals to show President Trump that Europe is heeding his spending demands, and allies are close to a landmark agreement to extend a Cold War-era fuel pipeline network to Eastern Europe and Turkey. The president indicated he may try to reverse a ban on Turkey buying F-35 fighter jets from the U.S.
It's a decision we're going to make. We have a very good relationship. I would think that many people, I can tell you, many people, including the people sitting right here, thinks, why wouldn't we do that?
Trump says the U.S. has a better relationship with Turkey and that Turkey has been more loyal to the U.S. than other countries. He added that had the NATO summit not been held in Turkey, he might not have attended. At the NATO summit, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky argued that today's wars have shown more needs to be done to protect against ballistic missiles.
The one thing we still need to do here in Europe is build a strong defense against Russia's ballistic missiles. This is Russia's last major advantage.
Zelensky urged NATO allies to increase their supply of Patriot missile systems, which he says are excellent, but just not enough. Amazon is looking to raise at least $25 billion from a U.S. dollar bond sale to fund spending on AI infrastructure. Bloomberg Tech's Ed Ludlow says the money has to come from somewhere.
In quick succession for the second time, it's looking at the US IG market, and Bloomberg's reporting $25 billion across 8 tranches, maturities 3 to 40 shareholder years. On a weighted cost of capital basis, it makes total sense for these hyperscalers to use the debt market to finance massive capex.
The company has raised more than $82 billion from high-grade bond sales across different currencies since last year. It is expected to spend almost $200 billion this year. Marine Le Pen says she will run in the 2027 French presidential race. She was cleared to run after an appeal judge shortened her election ban, yet upheld her conviction for embezzling European Union funds. That's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Amy Morrison. This is Bloomberg.